Hey, what's up? It's Rashad hanging with the Joneses. She-Hulk turning a law on Disney Plus, of course, episode number 4. And this episode is titled, Is This Real Magic? This is a spoiler review, so you gotta talk about the thing to talk about the thing. And yeah, this was a pretty decent episode. Definitely not the strongest. Episode 3 is still the standout of the series so far. But I do see why they had this as a 4-episode arc for the people who got the early screeners. So with this episode, we have Wong is back, and she mentions that right at the top, very meta-like, of course. And Wong is having a problem with this magician. This guy was a student at Carmitage, but he got kicked out. For some reason, he kept his sling ring. I don't know why they don't have some sort of inventory for this stuff, but he still got his sling ring. He's out in LA doing cheap magic show. He has like this other older black guy who's hyping him up the whole time. He used to be a magician back in the day too, I guess, kind of under his wing, his mentor. And he's sending people to different dimensions with the sling ring. So Wong gets wind of that. This one girl who's at the show at the beginning, and she's in it the entire time, and also she's in it drunk the entire time. So that's like her bit, which is it was pretty cool. So she's at this at the magic show, brings her up, sling rings her to some other dimension, right? She goes in the dimension, and then cut the next scene. We have Wong chilling, about to watch The Sopranos. I guess he's catching up on some, early 2000s TV, and all of a sudden, boom, the girl ends up there, and she ruins The Sopranos for him. Does it a couple times, so there's some couple running jokes in this episode that work really well. Secondly, we have Nikki and She-Hulk, or Jen, and Jen is trying to date again. This whole point of her not wanting to be She-Hulk all the time and not really fully accepting that part of her. So she creates this dating profile and is lame, and nobody's really swiping right on her. Then she gets this one guy, and he's basically a cheapo, doesn't have a job, the whole nine. So, she goes in, makes a profile as She-Hulk, and ends up meeting somebody from, you see from the trailers. So the main course of this episode is them being in court. And the courtroom stuff is pretty funny because you have Wong trying to explain the mystic arts. You got this grifter on the other side who is saying, hey, you can't copyright or license magic, which is an interesting debate now that I think about it. And the judge essentially gets suckered in to an awe moment when the fake magician breaks out the rabbit, even though his friend just places the rabbit underneath the handkerchief, which is just hilarious. But yeah, there's just a lot of that type of stuff in this episode. Also, we see how Jen is trying to navigate being She-Hulk versus being Jen in her love life. So cut to the end of the episode, and you have Jen, She-Hulk, trying to get her date on, meets a guy, they're having a good time. Of course, there's a montage of failed dates, and then meets a guy, had a good time, took him back to the house, and they're having a conversation. It's getting real, amorous. And then Wong shows up because the magician dude used the sling me trick again. Your girl was like, nah, man, I'm not about to do this with you because my girl came here last week and you stuck her in Pomona. Does this other little magic trick and makes the like a bird come out, flies on the hand, and then it drops an egg. Well, the egg hatches, and it's like this weird looking humanoid demon bat, and all of a sudden he tries to take him back, and it looks like hellish dimension. All of a sudden a bunch of those little weird baby human bats start to come out and fly around. So Wong calls, well, not calls. Wong sling rings, gets Jen. They go in and fight off all the little demon bat things, and then she goes back to the house, picks up your boy. They get it on. She wakes up in the morning. Of course, remember when she wakes up, she goes to sleep as She-Hulk. She wakes up as Jen. So she wakes up making juice, music on. He gets up, like, oh, who are you? So, oh man, I'm Jen. Just Jen, and I'm still She-Hulk, but just in human form. And he's like, oh man, I'm out of here. So even with other people, like they can't really deal with the fact that she is both Jen and She-Hulk simultaneously. So that's of course, gonna be hopefully some sort of resolution to that in regards to her identity by the end of the series. Again, decent episode, not as strong as episode 3. But this is a good lead into what's going to happen next, because we have Titania, and she gets out of jail first. Secondly, she does a very litigious thing. She trademarks She-Hulk and then sends Jen a cease and desist for not using She-Hulk anymore. Even though she didn't want to be She-Hulk, didn't use She-Hulk, of course this is going to catapult her to actually be She-Hulk for real. So good on them for kind of doing that. And in credit, like they're out. The in credit girl from the beginning that got sling ringed, and she's there with Wong, and they're watching. They're watching Sopranos, and she's just going over a bunch of drinks to see if he ever heard of them. So yeah, cool episode. Yeah, not the best episode, but definitely a good progression forward in the series. That's all I got for this. I will be back on, I don't know, let's say like maybe Saturday to watch and review Lord of the Rings. First 2 episode review is up on the channel. Then, of course, next Monday, 7 p.m., Wester Bros, Game of Thrones. And yeah, man, if you're not on the socials yet, definitely join either TikTok, IG. You already on YouTube, and if you of that certain type of person, Facebook, we up there too. So definitely join all the things, hanging with the Joneses on IG, hanging with _ the Joneses. Till the next time.